Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we're reviewing The Sopranos Season 2, and today we are on the season finale titled Funhouse. And you've seen him on the pod before discussing The Sopranos. He's over on Movies and Us a bunch of times. Philip is back to discuss the finale, this very juicy finale. Welcome, Philip.
Hello there, and I'm so sorry I wasn't able to be here for episode 12 as well. I'm sure by the time people are watching or listening to this, they will have already seen that, as will I. And I'm especially excited to see like the footage and the reactions of all the things that happened.
Yeah, so this season we've done watch-alongs for a couple of the episode, which the idea from that originated from our dear friend Philip here. So he was like, gosh, guys, there's some really good ones that people would love to just see reactions to big moments, and they delivered. So thanks for that idea, Philip. It was so fun.
I'm glad you guys were able to do that, get some good engagement, and like we are in the position of like people who do what we do. Like we want to do this for fun, but we also want people to watch, and I feel like that's a thing where it's like it's a good thing for the audience that's also not like lame and sellouty or baity. Like that's just fun, because if you're watching it, we're going to talk about it on the show, but then to see people experience it, and for folks like myself who are longtime fans following people watching it for the first time, like I can't wait to see you guys react to all of the classic episodes.
Yeah, especially because we're somehow like the rare humans still walking the earth that haven't seen the show yet. Like we're truly experiencing this for the first time. So there's lots of like jaws on the floor, or like me and Sarah just shriveling like this, being like,
well, I think a lot of people are, because you guys are younger. You weren't around, like you weren't watching premium cable shows like 25 years ago when this was coming out. And like you guys know the broad strokes, but there's the show, like as we've talked about and as you guys talk all the time, it's so well written that I feel like you can be culturally aware of The Sopranos while pretty much having almost no spoilers, and that's perfect.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's been so thrilling, and we made it here to a milestone moment with this season finale, Funhouse. Sarah, do you want to kick us off with a summary of The Sopranos Season 2, Episode 13? This is also your spoiler alert. We're diving fully in, so if you haven't seen this yet and you're like us, go watch along with us and then come back. But episode summary.
All right. Feverish from food poisoning, Tony Soprano's surreal dreams intersect with Meadows' graduation and growing crew unrest, leading to a decisive test of loyalty.
Ooh, my blood pressure rose just hearing the decisive test of loyalty.
Yes.
Oh,
what a way to describe that.
Not too spoilerly. We've had that in the past where sometimes you look, because as somebody who is trying to protect in the things that I say to you on and off air, sometimes when you get to them, I'm like, I'm glad they didn't look at like sometimes the images on IMDb or reading the things before you watch the episode to kind of protect you. But no, that was a great synop.
All right, TV Nest tradition. We're starting off with our episode titles of choice for this finale. Philip, what is yours?
Man, I had several, but I think I'm going to go with, and I wonder if either of us are going to overlap. I'll start with Graduation Day, if nobody else has that.
That's a good one. Some of us graduate in many different ways, you know?
It's true.
Great interpretations. Sarah, what is your episode title?
Mine is Psychic Injuries.
Oh, very good. Very good. My episode title is Get the Weights.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's dive in. A juicy finale, a catharsis for many of the plot lines, with a whole host of open threads teeing up the next season. I'm curious to hear how we all felt about where the story arc has landed as we wrap up this season.
Well, you guys should kick that one off since this is all fresh for you.
Yeah, Sarah, thoughts about this finale?
Yeah, I think what was the most surprising to me is just how matter of fact everything is in this episode, especially everything that goes down with Salvatore. Especially for like a season finale, you expect it to be explosive. This is a mob show, so like I'm expecting some explosions and some drama, especially given what episode 12 did. But I feel like this is very straightforward. Their actions are all very like business like and very little emotion. It's all brimming below the surface and coming out in odd ways, but I was just impressed that this wasn't more like melodramatic, because this very well could have been a very like over the top melodramatic episode, and it's really not. And I kind of appreciated like how understated this is as a finale. Big
It's
explosive things
interesting.
happen, but
Yeah. Well,
I
that's also
expected it to be bigger.
that's interesting you say that. I completely agree with what you're saying in a way, but also just the crazy surreal dreams. I remember the first time I saw this a long time ago, like I had seen anything like that on TV. And it's not like the big explosive type stuff, but yeah, it was they the writers on this are so good.
The drama is all so internal. I think I was shocked at how much time we spent in this episode just kind of palling around the internal subconscious world of Tony Soprano, his emotions, his fears, his desires, his anxieties, and we're just kind of exploring his inner world for like really like 3/4 of the episode. And I think I was shocked by that. Like it's still every scene after scene, I'm like, oh, we're still doing it again. We're back at the beach again. We're back at the Jersey Shore. And that's an interesting way to tell this story and to have the drama be so focused on the internal turmoil of Tony instead of the external events playing out. Because that scene, it actually is only a couple of minutes long. And then we're back in the internal world back again. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I can't wait to hear your season 2 episode 12 discussion, but like we were saying before we record, I feel like in some ways like that gave me like big finale type energy. And then this was kind of in some ways like the period, but also just kind of like the Twin Peaks craziness of it. This feels like a very special episode, but it's just kind of odd cuz even in The Sopranos, while there's surreal type things happen, David Chase has multiple times said like he kind of took what David Lynch did on Twin Peaks as kind of like a permission slip to kind of get weird. And this episode certainly gets weird, and other episodes, a handful, but like The Sopranos doesn't like primarily live in that space, which does kind of make episodes like this stand out.
And I love that this show is so focused on Tony Soprano as a person. And I mean, we've seen that over these 2 seasons. I imagine it continues throughout the entire run of the show. But I think that that's so brilliant that, this weird, surreal dream, all these dream sequences, they don't necessarily feel out of place because we're learning more about Tony, because he doesn't know how to express these things that he is feeling. He doesn't know how to handle his big feelings. And so we're seeing how they show up in his dreams. And I love that it's such a character focused show. So then having these big dream sequences doesn't feel like this random, weird, creative thing, but it just feels like, oh, this is how we can understand what this character is feeling.
Sarah, how about that one zoom in? I think it was on the second dream of Uncle Junior, just in the window there, looking at him. I thought of you when I saw that.
It's so good.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, Tony's made a lot of progress over seasons 1 and 2. We're so proud of our guy. But I think also the ending of this episode and that conversation with Dr. Melfi also showcases that there's still so much to unearth. Like his core challenge for him and for all of us as humans is to acknowledge the sadness, to acknowledge the tragedy of the betrayal of his closest friend, a brother to him. And it's the same problem we had at the very start of the show, which is the impending sadness of potentially losing his family. And family is capital F family and also lowercase f family. And I think that is so much a part of Tony's journey, is his inability to feel and let himself feel sadness, because he sees it as weakness. And so he channels it all into anger and channels it onto rage. So he's made a lot of progress, our dude, but that core growth opportunity still is beckoning him and inviting him into more. And he's still grappling with so many of the same things, and his growth is nonlinear. And I think there's something really relatable about that too. So I love the way that Dr. Malfi is able, she's kind of problematic this whole season, but she is down a core challenge that Tony has faced again and again and again, which is sadness is weakness to him. So he channels it into rage.
I wanted to get your guys' thoughts, and I don't know if there is a firm answer, and I don't even know if David Chase or the writers would give you a firm answer, but thinking about like how Tony's food poisoning is kind of central to his arc in this episode. Like, what do we think that is? Do we think that's like real food poisoning? Because like Pussy didn't get it, Sal didn't get it, Artie didn't get it. Like, and going back, I watched this episode once fully, and then I kind of rewatched again. Like, it breaks my heart to see Tony knowing but not wanting to admit to himself when Pussy's going on and explaining the scam in detail. Tony looks at him, and even if he doesn't like fully know or want to admit, like he knows, like because Furio's just like lapping it up, going, "Oh, that's great." But the way he's like meticulously explaining the scam, Tony looks at it and it's just like, because he's been trying, like, they thought he was a rat. Like, they kind of did the fake out for the viewer where they're like, okay, they know he's a rat. And then he kind of cleared his name. But under all that, it's like, because they had the murder, right? The season that was the season that they brought him along, and probably for like Sal and Paulie and those other guys, they're like, oh yeah, like he did another murder with us, he's okay. But Tony knows. And I feel like that, maybe as much as whatever he may or may not have eaten in his two different dinners, also maybe was a factor in that.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like a psychosomatic thing that was going on, because it was so severe. It's like, wow, this is really intense for food poisoning. So,
And our boy,
yeah,
he was trying to clear his name. He's like calling everybody up.
I
You didn't get
loved
anything.
that.
You didn't get anything, right?
It's so good. Oh man, Artie's priorities are in the right order. But the thing that I really loved about that is the fact that Tony is so sick in this episode. I think is a really genius writing move, because once again, Tony is vulnerable. He is physically so weak, and I think that just makes this episode more interesting. You know, obviously he starts out on a real high in this episode, everything's going right, but then once he realizes, oh, there's something wrong here, then it just
And
devolves,
it
and
was
he,
at that meal. Like when they sat down, he's like, Richie's gone. I'm on
Mhm.
top. Like everything's going my way. And then Puss explains the thing, and he's
Yeah.
like, that itch in the back of his head. He's like, oh, like you can see it. Like perfect non-verbal performance by James Gandolfini there.
With the camera work too, of like that slow zoom in as Salvatore is going on and on and on about it as well. And in my head canon, I think Tony's known this whole time, uh, validated, checked out, but I think Tony's emotional intelligence and instinct is sharp enough for him to have known. But it's kind of like you're in denial of the things that you know are true because they're too hard to have to face. And I think that's the case with Salvatore this whole season. Like there's constantly been this like suspicion that perhaps he's just unwilling to acknowledge because it's too painful to imagine that this brother of yours of decades long would betray you. And I think to your point, Sarah, around this being so restrained in the melodrama, I thought that the the scene where they're on the boat and Silvio goes upstairs to the deck for some air. I thought that was such a genius way for the writers to add so much emotion to this moment without having to like have it expressed so outwardly. Like clearly Silvio's like, "Man, I can't do this right now. I need a moment because that's my best friend. That's my brother. That's my family, you know?" And so it was that moment was so emotional without them having to really say much. And even Sylvia and Tony's conversation, just like, "Hey, you
Don't
good?
yell at
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I need a moment. Yeah.
they
Get
they
back
kind of
down
revert
there. What
to
are you
being
doing?"
little boys again.
So emotional.
How about the Puss as the talking fish and
Yeah.
early
So good.
2000s graphics?
I know.
Because Tony kind of made the same face. Like, that's the conversation. That's like the most honest conversation where they actually have it out in the dream. Because he says it, he goes, I've been working with the feds. Tony's like, yeah, I know. Like, he knows, and he's like, don't say that. Like, I don't want to. Like, he even is working out like his own denial or aversion
Yeah.
of dealing with, because we've seen Tony be ruthless in making moves, but when it is your actual brother, like, that's hard.
And he doesn't do anything until he sees with his own eyes the evidence in the cigar container. And that's when everything else is sent to motion. But it's almost like he's like holding out for like, maybe I would love to be proven wrong. Uh, but man, that shot of him looking down at the cigars
Mm.
container is so tragic because he knows what he has to do.
I also love the fake out because he like opens it and then he shuts it and he looks like he's going to move on and then he comes back and digs deeper and it's like, yes, you figured it out, you got your proof.
But then it also means you gotta
Mm-hmm.
do what you gotta do, and that's your
Gotta
guy.
do it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. One thing that is really interesting, Philip, that you mentioned though, is that Salvatore is more honest in Tony's dream than he is in the actual scene that plays out in real life. And I think that's
Oof, that was
also really
painful.
tragic, you know? Um, I've always said this whole season, I think where The Sopranos will write this character's arc and what he ultimately chooses to do in the end, to come clean, to double down on some convictions and say, I did what I had to do, and to be honest with it, or if he's going to try and play both sides. And it was so heart wrenching to watch him like try and lie again to Tony
Oof.
and say like, but I didn't give that much information, you know, and like still think that he can fool the guy, you know, like that there's that last bit of honesty that
And he
would have been amazing.
knows
They don't give it to him.
when they go down into the boat. Like, he knows even before they get, like, when he shows up, he knows where it's going. But I don't know if he's trying to, like, because it's hard, right? He's trying to, like, keep some dignity for himself, and just like, the worst thing you can be in that world is a rat. And he could have done other things. He could have gone to Tony. He could have done. They had him with the drugs, but people get off on convictions. But he made that choice, and that's kind of that. Or how about the
Yeah.
conversation that he had in the car with the feds? Oh, and the hospital was brutal as well. But where he's like, it was like, Benjamin Franklin's my best friend, but like, he got his big fat wad, and then he gave him like $200. Like, he pulled two bills off the top, and it's just like, he gave up his spot. And again, it's funny, Jen, we're talking about organized crime as like the thing that he should not betray. It's
I know. Yeah. I think that Salvatore's choice to still lie at the end is just indicative of almost that, like, the desperation that we have as humans in our final moments to just bend every moral code we can to try and save ourselves is like it's tempting every time, you know. And I think the fact that the show writers didn't have him own his choices and have that little bit of dignity at the end, but he kind of still tries to weasel his way out of it. It's rough to see, but I think it is notable that he asks to keep his eyes, and Tony, Silvio, Polly honor that. There's something like respectful about them, like at least giving him his final wish, that I thought was also like kind of poetic and interesting, that is part of the way that he goes out. And the show is so intentional about having that dedicated shot to show his face, and they've tried to honor his wish in the way that they could, despite the betrayal.
Well, yeah, at first I was thinking like open casket or whatever. Then it's like, no, he's not getting a funeral. They're burying him at the bottom of the ocean. But no, just maybe it's a Catholic thing, or just the pure like respect for his body and the history
And they
they had.
had
I love the moment with Polly. We get a great Polly laugh line where they're talking about. He's like, "Hey, I hardly give him anything. Well, Bistix." Polly's like, "I'm not in on that. Great. Like, I'm not a part of that scam." He was so happy. Then he's like, "What else?"
yeah. Oh, it's tragic. I hate to see it, you know?
And the last drink together, the tequila,
Oh,
and then they're like, "Are you lying about that too?" And it's sad.
yeah.
It's real sad. Even like that last, like, because yeah, of course they're gonna honor that, like give them the last drink, and the camaraderie that is tinged with like the deceit, and it's heartbreaking.
It's
Yeah.
interesting too, because we've seen, oh gosh, 2 episodes earlier, when Tony takes the kid out with Salvatore. There's a rage, there's a vengeance, there's a violence, there's a brutality to that murder. They put so many holes in that organ. Like when you hear them, you don't see all of them. But this one was almost a slow, tragic like killing, and I think that the tonal difference between those two is so notable for all three of them too. There's this almost like, man, I can't, how am I supposed to do this, but I have to do it. That's so different from every other way that we've seen someone go from this crew, and I think that tonal difference is significant for the show.
Yeah, this is definitely like in the history of the show, I think like the most understated killing that
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
And what a fitting way to like end the season too. You know, they've built up Salvatore as potentially being a rat for like a season and a half, and then for us actually knowing for an entire season. And yeah, it's so heartbreaking and tragic, but it's also, I don't know, like satisfying for that storyline, and bringing it to its natural and appropriate conclusion too, and all of the kind of like twists and turns with both Tony and Salvatore over this like season and a half period. And it feels like such a fitting conclusion. It is tragic, it is heartbreaking, but it's also, it just feels so right too for this show.
Yeah. And there is some of the crazy stuff with the dreams, and some of the humor with Tony's food poisoning, and just him not being able to keep anything down. The AJ line of like, "Who's ripping the big ones?" Like that made me laugh pretty hard. Like they did, the tonal mastery of the writer's room is just a marvel.
Yeah, you're laughing the whole time until you get to the boat scene, and you're like, "Oh, it's not fun anymore." I'll take Tony's farts any day. For having to see him like murder
Clip
his
that.
brother.
That's a good clip right there. For the social media.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, Sarah, I also thought of you negatively. We had that wild Dr. Melfi session that I was guessing you hated. What did you think of when that happened? Forgive
so
me for
annoyed.
asking, but
I'm so annoyed by Dr. Melfi.
What is she doing?
That is the question. What is she doing? Because this whole season, it's been all about her. And I'm like, that doesn't make you a good therapist when all of your interactions with your patients are all about you. I'm so frustrated by her. She served such a good function in season one. She serves a great function in season two. I'm just annoyed by the character, but she's doing her job effectively. But yeah, I'm so frustrated. And I'm very curious to see where this goes, though. Like, we've had 2 seasons of Dr. Malfi. What will we do next? So I'm very curious, but yeah, I'm annoyed, which is not surprising.
No, yeah. I wonder how much. Well, I guess Philip you can't say, but she'll continue to be used in the show because she plays such a different role in this season than the first season. What will they do with her next? I always think she's such a fascinating character because, in a way, her fascination with Tony and watching as she calls this train wreck unfold in front of her is us as the audience watching this train wreck in front of us as well and being caught up in the charisma and the magnetic nature of who Tony Soprano is. And like I'm like, okay, I guess you just gotta find out too and see what juicy thing he says next, the way that I lean into every session that he has. And I'm like, what is he gonna say now? I think that she's a fascinating audience stand-in that's very flawed, very problematic, but
But I
she's
think
the
in
only
the
ordinary person in this world that is
yeah,
somewhat infiltrating this world.
the dream scene was wild, but then in the real one with her, like she was pressing him. She's like, "Look, I'm not going to be afraid of you anymore." And this is after Tony had to kill his friend. She's like there's something that you're not telling me, and he basically walks out. So she kind of I feel like reclaims some of that ground of trying to be the healthy therapist in as much as you can for uh a mob boss.
I'm also curious y'all's thoughts about Livia because we know Homegirl is always scheming, always aware of her environment and every move that is being made. And she plays an interesting role in tipping off the feds with the stolen airline tickets that lead to a temporary arrest for Tony that he gets out on bail. But I don't think she's just cluelessly at the airport being like, "Oh my god, Tony, the airline tickets you gave me are stolen." Thoughts on like what is Livia up to in this episode? Did you have any suspicions of her? I always do. I'm like, did you know? Did you know? And this was part of your plan.
Sarah, what do you think?
I mean, Livia's always scheming. Honestly, I was so I'm tickled by the idea of her like going to Tucson. I grew up in Tucson, and there's like a little town near Tucson called Green Valley, and that's where like a lot of older people live. And I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Stalking.
Livia could go wreak havoc there. That would be so fun. She could make a whole bunch of older friends, be all up in the gossip. Like, I totally rewrote like a whole storyline for Livia, just like going to Tucson and living her best life. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting that it is the airline tickets that is what Tony finally got nabbed for. And it's so brilliant and also so true to life. It's the whole like Al Capone got, locked up on tax evasion. It's that whole thing. So I think it's so fitting that it's this little thing, this little slip up that is really what gets Tony in trouble, not any of the big murders that he has committed over the past 2 seasons, but it is just these silly little airline tickets. It's so fitting. But of course he gets released, but man, already in some hot water.
In that scene, I forget because different things happen in different seasons, and I forget which one it was. And then when I was like, oh yeah, it's this one where he's arrested at the home as Meadow and her friends are coming in, and you get that moment like of oof, like Tony doesn't care in a way. He knows he's gonna beat it. He's annoyed. There's that great scene with his lawyer where he's like, I beat all this big stuff and they're gonna get me on these airline tickets. And he's like, Tony, calm down, calm down. But what also happened was his daughter and her friends saw him getting taken out of his home, like, and that's for the pride, for everything, like, that's that's a heavy blow.
And like what a contrast to a couple of episodes ago after the murder with the eyewitness and Tony was actually really scared that he was going to go away. And a contrast in his response in this episode where he is so chill and level-headed and obviously annoyed. But we've seen how he responds when he's actually worried about the feds, and then when he's like, nah, it's not that big of a deal.
Inconvenienced.
Yes, yes, that's the perfect word for it. He's absolutely inconvenienced.
But then in that meeting with his lawyer, and he knows that he is not on his game, and it goes to the food poisoning, like, he has to take care of the problem with Puss, and that's he doesn't want to.
I also think it's always so interesting that whenever there's a threat of for Tony being taken in, the things he's always talking about is I need to be there for my family. I need to at least be there until AJ's out of the house. And so I think that's a fascinating just like mindset and wiring that he has. It's not about his own self-preservation, but that like protector instinct, that provider instinct that he has to like he's concerned about his family. And I think that makes him a really sympathetic character versus Junior's just trying to take care of himself. You know what I mean? Like Junior's not trying to take care of anybody else but him. But there's something different in the way that Tony's wired, where he's constantly outward focused and thinking about how do I take care of the people that are in my orbit that I care about, that I love. And I don't know. I feel like I can get on board with that way more than Junior just being like, oh no, they're gonna get me. And like he just it's a different posture that they have that I think is so palpable. Junior's still out there, by the way, stalking the streets, scheming, I'm sure. Like,
He is.
staring out the window.
Showing up at graduations.
The way that Tony lifts him out of that conversation with Meadow
Yep.
so fast.
And we got the return of Davy. So from my last episode.
Yeah. Oh, Davy.
Hopefully he's gonna get his life together.
Yeah. Oh no, man.
Yeah, really
It's not
close to
looking
Vegas.
promising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
It's
Yeah.
the perfect place for him.
I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right.
Vegas is yeah. Sure, that's a great environment for him to get his life back on track.
How about Tony getting his
sure he'll be
wife's name
fine.
wrong?
Which I think he says Artie's wife's name. And so I thought that was an interesting slip.
Okay, interesting.
I might be wrong. I forget people's names, but
Well, because they used to have a thing, which Charmaine held over Carmela's head in a scene back in like season 1 or something. Around like, but me and
I don't
Tony
think he
used to-"
said Charmaine. I think it was like Christine or something like that.
Oh,
okay, something like that. It was a very similar name then to Charmaine.
But I do love how my boy Artie, my sweet boy, just weaving and dodging through this dangerous world.
That character stresses me out. I'm like, he's smart enough to be aware, but not smart enough to be aware all the time. And I just feel like he's.
But also, what are you going to do? You got to live in the world. What's he going to do? Become a cop? Like, he's a restaurant guy.
He's so good natured, too. You're like, no, Artie. Believes in like justice and goodness. I'm like, that's not what rules in this world, my dude, my guy.
Also, this, and it's just a little moment, but one of like the cinematic moments that like I like keep in my head and think about when I think of the Sopranos. Like on like the graduation day celebration at his house, like Tony just smoking a cigar, like with the slow motion. It's like the perfect drag, and it's so cinematic. And that's kind of after, sadly, like kind of everything has been put in place. Like this is Tony actually living the life that he was talking about at the beginning of the episode, where things are all in order, because they kind of are now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like an equilibrium has been restored. And it's this it's this feeling of satisfaction of like, okay, we're good. We are okay for now. Like it's a very fleeting
Yes,
thing,
for right
but
now.
for this moment, we are okay.
Because in that you also have his wife going, he's supposed to be here. Like, how are they
Yeah.
gonna take care of her?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Because
women that are in
traditionally,
the
when somebody has to be taken out, there is consideration paid to the family left behind. But that's also something you have to think about and deal with. Like, he had to go, but also it wasn't just he's close with Tony, like his family is close with Tony.
yeah.
And so what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's also in that final sequence this like slow-mo shot of like Polly and Silvio and they're chummy and they're laughing. And I just the scene happens right after I think the Dr. Melfi sequence where she's like, "Hey, you've got unprocessed sorrow." And I just look at all of these men that are cheesing and smiling because they finished their task for the day, but I'm like, gosh, look at all these unprocessed men that have so much pain and betrayal and guilt, I'm sure, that is like just undealt with. And it's going to come out in some weird ways. And I think it's neat when the show previously in the season showcases some of that guilt that is catching up with Polly, when he's abroad and all of that. I think is fascinating because they don't have time to really mourn or process. And also it gets in the way of them doing business. So they've just got to stuff it down. And you see
Yeah.
them just slap on the smile and carry on. But I'm like, oh, you just had to murder your brother.
Well, and the
You
whole
don't dealt with
culture,
that.
like, which is what's gone on, like the stigma that of Tony, like going to
Yeah.
therapy and all that, like
Yeah.
it's
She's doing
dealing
it.
with one's own issues is not something that community uh easily can access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how about the dream also? I forgot because we're kind of bouncing all over the place. The dream where Tony kills Paulie.
With Polly. Yeah. I was shocked by that scene because, he goes up to the thing and it's far away. And I'm like, zoom in. Zoom in. What are you doing? I need to see who that is. And Polly's got the iconic hair, the shape of the silhouette of his hair is you could spot from like 3 miles away.
That
So
apparently the legend has it is that he did his hair and he didn't let the hair and like makeup touch it. He did it himself every day.
I love that so much. It's kind of fitting for that character who's like, I got this. This is my hair. Don't please, I got figured out my products. Um, I was wondering if that was some foreshadowing of some kind. Obviously, it's like the concept of having to take out a brother we see play out in this episode, but the looming constant unrest and the threat of anybody kind of flipping and defecting, that doesn't go away, When are the feds going to get a hold on the next person that is ripe enough to be prey for
And these
them?
guys are doing bad things. There's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if this like sows more distrust
Yeah.
into this group. Like, I mean, how can it not? But I'm curious to see like how that might develop and show up because that's a huge breach in trust. And if your brother can do that to you, how can you trust anybody else? So I'm just curious to see how that will like pop up in interesting ways going forward.
Yeah.
Yep. And we also see some foreshadowing. Part of my graduation day was also Christopher is
Yeah.
getting lined up to get his bump.
Hmm. There's an opening now, a spot for him. I don't know that man is ready, but there's a need to be filled now in the crew.
And he's eager.
Yeah.
Too eager.
I think it's also interesting because I think it's earlier in the season, somebody references that like Tony wanted to give this to Christopher, like earlier in the season. It was like around the going to Italy episode, but I don't remember exactly when. And so now finally at the end of the season, it's now the time for that. So I'm appreciating the way that this show will carry forward little things like that.
Yeah, there's a vacancy now. And he's been, and I love his response where he's like, I deserve it, like immediately.
Right? No,
Well,
thank
because
you. No
in the
gratitude.
pilot, Christopher's been antsy since the pilot,
Mhm.
where I think he commits the first murder that we see in the series, in
Yep.
the butcher shop or whatever.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, like I killed a guy for you. Like that's my final task. Like why haven't I gotten made? Like Tony's my uncle, and he starts off a little maybe over eager and green. He's definitely matured some, but he also his priorities and his goals are varied, and that doesn't always square with the the life.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and I feel like he's so wishy-washy constantly and looking out for himself, looking to self-actualize in any way that he can, and that type of desire to self-preserve is really what led Salvatore down his path, you know? So that like undying loyalty that someone like Tony values so deeply. I don't know that that guy's got it, you know. His near death experience doesn't seem to have changed him too much, but we'll see. We'll see. I also can't help but think about at the end of I think season one's finale that there's that whole conversation that I think it's Polly and Silvio have when they're at Artie's and like Soprano family's having their little dinner where they're voicing like, hey, you know, there's like lots of new opportunities now. And they just leave it at that. And so I wonder that was a seed that I thought would play out a little bit more. Instead, we're focused on the Salvatore story, but these other guys got ambition too. You know, like how is the game board now shifted around for these new opportunities to strike? I don't know. Like when you, especially like you were saying, Sarah, like when loyalty has so clearly been tossed to the side, how does that set a new tone, a new precedent, a new lens on what these relationships really mean if they can be thrown away so easily? And how does that create paranoia in the other crew members that, I don't know, have them look for new opportunities for themselves or new windows that they can take advantage of? Oh, so rough to see. Okay, other big moments. I was surprised to see more of Barbara, Tony's younger sister, in this episode.
Oh yeah, we got her at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, she's
In the
come back.
aftermath of Janet's departure.
Exactly,
Or
helping
Janice.
deal with things with Livia. So I wonder if they're teeing her up to be a bigger role in the next season. But she haven't seen her at all nearly in the show. So
I liked how she's like, I wish you guys would tell me. Like, they're talking about Olivia and Junior colluding to murder Tony. And Tony's like, it's no big deal. You don't need, like, don't worry about it.
yeah, she's just like, what?
It's like, I wish you guys would tell me what happened.
You really don't. Like, as a person who has watched the show, you do not want to know, my girl. Go live
Yep.
your suburban life and be normal.
Yeah. Okay, other big things in this finale.
It was pretty. Yeah.
I think we covered the big stuff. I think I was just shocked at just the tonal difference in this finale. Like you were saying, Philip,
It's a weird one.
It's a weird one. Yeah, and like to your point earlier, like the episode right before this feels more like that big explosive action driven plot changing type of finale that we get, and this is almost this quieter denouement.
Oh, there was Carmela's coat. That was the other thing.
Oh yes. Oh, Carmela. I still root for the rise of Carmela to be this like badass, manipulative woman in this world, wielding her influence.
I mean, she was getting into the vibe with that coat. She was feeling very powerful.
She liked that coat a lot. She very much enjoyed it. Oh man.
Oh yeah, Tony was like on the ground. He's like, "Do you like your coat?" And she's like, "I love my coat." As he's like crapping his guts out.
Yeah. I also found it interesting that when he's getting arrested, I was watching her and she's oddly very calm and unfazed as well. I think
Well, yeah,
that
and
was
she has that
really
conversation with Meadow. She's like,
mm-hmm.
"Your father, you just have to understand."
Yeah. She's unfazed by it. So I'm like, gosh, she really is understands how this world works and understands how it, like she's not hysterical. Like, oh my god, you're taking my husband. No, she's oddly like, all right, go with them, Tony. I'll see you later for dinner. So she
Yeah,
clearly knows where
because
that she
like,
left on too.
how many times has she seen that happen? You know, like how many times has Tony been arrested before? Like, that's probably not that surprising in the grand scheme of things, but it is fascinating to like watch her response as someone who is not in this world. It's very interesting to watch.
Yeah. All right. Shall we give out some TV and Us awards for this finale episode? All right. The first category is most family oriented. What are your choices for this one? Philip, what's your choice?
Oh, I'll go. I would maybe say Meadow.
Oh,
And that conversation where Carmela's trying to like Meadow doesn't need to be calmed down at that point. Like she's seen it enough times herself. And the
yeah.
way she kind of sticks up for him, she's like, if my friends judge me, like they're not going to be my friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that line.
Nice. So good. So good. Uh, Sarah, what is your choice for most family oriented?
Mine is Tony for trying to get his mom the heck out of Dodge.
Oh, Olivia. My choice is the crew not shooting Salvatore in the eye, choosing to honor him in that way.
Yeah,
It's
that
a nice
not in the
touch.
face line is just
Mhm.
heartbreaking. I almost thought about going with that for my episode title, but just
Yeah,
where he's like pathetic. He's like,
yeah,
not in the face, okay? Like it
yeah,
just breaks your heart because I mean, I really liked him. Like you don't get a ton of time with him, but in those 2 seasons, like
yeah.
you feel for the guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And you feel for the way that he was manipulated. Like he was pressed and given two terrible options and I don't know, tried to find what he thought was right. I think it also his desire to delude himself into believing that he was an FBI agent and working for the good side. Also so human, you know? Trying to find meaning and purpose somehow, even if
Yeah, like he thought he was gonna join the FBI.
yeah.
Like it's sad. That was sad.
Skipping like this is the worst case of Stockholm syndrome I've ever seen. Yeah. All right, most explosive moment. Philip, what's your choice for this one?
I'll go with Tony flipping the fish in
Mm,
the dream after he's making him have that conflict and just face the facts that he doesn't want to. He flips over the talking fish table in his dream.
yeah. Yeah. Can't bear it. Sarah, what is your choice for most explosive moment?
Yeah, I want to pick Tony getting sick.
Yeah, I went with Tony's farts.
Lots of explosions.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, so gross. I'm glad I was not eating any snacks during that one. um, double meaning dialogue. What are your choices for this one?
Oh yeah. Shoot.
It's fun.
Mm,
People
I
are all day a
mean,
little bit more honest in this one than most. Shooting each other a little straighter.
hmm.
Why'd you flip? How could you do this? Why'd you do this to us?
I'm sorry. That one slipped my mind.
No, you're good.
The
You're
only
good.
one I can think of. I don't know.
Go for it.
um. Hmm.
I have two, so I can have one stand in for yours.
Okay.
Okay. One of them is Tony already is going with Salvatore sitting right next to him. All my enemies are smoked. I'm like, he knows already. My second one is Dr. Melfi to Tony after Tony's recounted everything but Salvatore. What else has happened? Sarah, what is your choice?
Yeah, my choice is Fish Salvatore, who says, "These guys on either side of me, they're asleep."
Yeah.
I just appreciated the sleeping with the fishes pun.
And
Yes.
Tony, he's like, don't say that. Like, such a
Mhm.
good, insane scene.
Yeah.
Like, there's never, ever, ever, ever been a gangster movie or show that has ever had a scene like that before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. You hear the like wood creaking and the bodily functions happening in the background. I thought the sound design was so fascinating in this episode
There's
as well.
some crazy sound design.
Jeez. Get me out of here.
I was listening, and I mean, you hear the sounds before, but I was listening to it with headphones, and there were some wild sounds
Yep.
that
And
were
that
happening.
would have been fun for the sound design team to figure out. Okay, well, how do we want to do looking ahead as we like there's so many more seasons left? Maybe Philip, is there a particular season you're most excited to
Well, I mean,
see what we get to
I've off
review?
air we've talked about this season 3. Like when I was younger, I used to say like the first 3 seasons were my favorite, but now like again, without being spoily,
Yeah.
the first 3 to 4 seasons especially are more outwardly fun because you're on the incline. Like Tony and his guys, they're like
Mhm.
establishing themselves. And for everybody who makes it, once you do get established, like that life, while there is a lot of
Yeah.
glamour and money and opportunity and vice, it's still that life. And I think the show does a good job of like acknowledging the romanticism of it and why people do it,
Mhm.
but then also the realities. Like in this episode,
Yeah.
you got to kill your best friend of like 30, 40 years if he turns into a rat. Like that takes a toll on you. So the final couple of seasons, while there's still a lot of humor, like the writing is so good, and like the deadpan delivery, particularly with like Paulie and all the missed stuff that happens, but like
Yeah.
the early seasons are the most fun. I think season 3 has like 3 or 4 like killer iconic episodes for various reasons. Already has been stated.
Oh God.
In my mind, never mind. I don't want to say that first. So in my mind, one of Dr. Melfi's most important or impactful arcs or decisions or actions or whatever happens in the next season. And I mean, I don't. Does the Pine Barrens mean anything to you guys? Has that culturally? Okay,
No, not
the
yet.
Pine Barrens is widely acknowledged as one of the best episodes in the whole series.
Okay.
And that's in the next season. I can't wait for that. And if nobody else is on that and my schedule permits, I'd love to do that one with you guys.
Love it. Well, that was a really good trailer. My interest is
And Christopher's
Christopher.
journey.
I fear for his journey. He's such a loose cannon. Like, it could be really great, it could be really bad.
And he so badly wants to turn his story into a movie.
Yes. Yes, he wants a hero's journey, truly. Okay. Dr. Melfi, Christopher. Some juice ahead.
Oh, season 3 finale is man, oh man. It's so good. Honestly, other than the Pine Barrens in college, I think the season 3 finale is maybe my most rewatched episode. I go back and rewatch that pretty regularly.
Just when you need some comfort, just throw on season 3 finale of The Sopranos.
It's really, really, really good.
I love that. Well, consider our interest highly piqued. You did a great job, like making it vague, but giving us some like crumbs.
I'm
Just
so excited you guys know nothing about the Pine Barrens. Like that
yeah,
alone, I'm amped.
okay, love it. Sarah, what about you? If you had to chart what you want to see next, what are you hoping to see?
You
Hard
know,
to say. Yeah, but
I don't know. I'm just kind of curious to see where this show takes us. I think over these 2 seasons, the writers have built like so much trust, and so I can trust where this show is going. There are
yeah,
some shows that you watch and you're like, I think I'm fine. I don't need to continue on this journey. I get the gist,
yeah.
but this I'm actively like, okay, this is going to be fun because each episode is so layered and so meaningful and so rooted in these characters that we are just so invested in after 2 seasons. So I'm just like, all right, writers, let's go where you want to take us. Let's see
Mhm.
what crazy adventures we get up to next.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you will not be disappointed.
Sarah's like, I've given myself to you. Do with me what you will. Take me on a
Yeah,
journey. Tell me a
let's
story.
go Sopranos. I'm all in.
Yeah. I think I'm consistently impressed by the show's ability to tell a satisfying story and still have so much story feeling like there's left to be told. There's a lot with Junior, with the kids, there's so much in the relationship with AJ and Meadow. I think Carmela's had some interesting vacillations over the course of this season. Christopher his story just feels like it's just beginning. And then honestly, there's a lot of opportunities with Silvio and Polly and what their desires are that are left to be unveiled to us as well. So I think I'm just always constantly interested to see from our main crew that there's still so much brimming within them that feels like it's not been fully revealed yet. And then Janice came in like a hurricane and left like a hurricane in the season. So what are those other side characters that bring chaos to this world? That will be interesting as well. Will we ever figure out what Livia's up to in scheming? Ever? Or do we just, we'll never know. She's just always stirring the pot, like by the end of the show. Like, do we get to understand her a little bit more? Because she's such an enigma, such a fun enigma. But will she always be unknowable? Or will we get to know her a little bit more? Who knows? Philip's just biting his tongue.
We will see.
Knowing it all. All right, well, this was our review and discussion of season 2's finale. You can find it available on HBO Max. Thank you for listening to this episode of TVNS and our whole season covering season 2 of the show. Big thank you to you, Philip, for joining us for this episode and all of the other episodes that you've joined us this season. It's been so fun. So, Philip, where can people find more of you, follow you on the interwebs and your work, The Substance, all that goodness?
Yeah, people podcast-wise can find me over at The Substance Pod on Instagram, and Threads, and maybe Blue Sky, perhaps. I don't remember. Cover a lot of film on our Substantive Cinema episodes, and then cover politics, faith, social stuff on our regular Substance episodes. We have a lot of great stuff. If you like a wide variety of thoughtful content, you can follow me there, or just at Philip Marinello or at The Substance Pod on Instagram to see where I'm guesting. I think this will probably come out next year. A lot of cool guest spots lined up, and they will all be there.
Very exciting. Yeah, we will include links in the show notes to where you can find more of Philip. Follow The Substance, follow Philip. He's always guesting somewhere. I feel like you're always doing cool things and very connected with the community. So lots there that we'll include in the show notes. So go follow him. Well, our name, TVNS, sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today as we wrapped up our journey through The Sopranos Season 2. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review letting us know your favorite dream sequence from this episode. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TBNSPod, or email us at tbnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcast, Movies and Us. We are part of the Movie Archer podcast network, so you can learn more, moviearcher.com. We'll be back soon with some more Are You Hooked episodes, and stay tuned to see what show, what season we might be covering next here on TV and Us. In the meantime, we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.